Housing the animals, interpreting plans and layouts. Animals also need housing to protect them from adverse weather conditions such as extreme sunlight and storms. Good housing should be durable so it can guarantee the safety of the animals. It is easy to clean and give accessibility to feeding and loading and unloading. So that when we feed them, we wouldn't have a hard time going in and out. Furthermore, it should allow the entry of sunlight for the animals to get nutrition from the sun and have enough space for each animal so they can move around without difficulty, and it should have proper ventilation so the air can circulate in and out. The fresh air would come in and the used air or polluted air could go out. For poultry and livestock raising, the ideal house should have the following characteristic. Number 1, it is far from a residential area that may be affected by the unpleasant odor produced by a large number of animals. Because when we gather a large number of animals, they produce an unpleasant odor that can affect the nearby residents. Number 2, it is on an elevated area that has a good drainage system and will not keep water accumulate. Number 3, it is exposed to ample sunlight. Like I said earlier, it is important for animals so they could get vitamins and minerals from the sun. Number 4, the area is close to a source of water for cleaning and feeding of animals. There should be a close water source nearby so when feeding them or giving them water to drink, we wouldn't have to go fetch water from somewhere far. And when cleaning the animals, the water will be nearby.
The poultry house. Type of shelter for poultry. Range type is located in the middle of the pasture. It needs a wide land area. Semi-confinement type has provision for a sun porch or runway for additional space for movement of the birds. The floor is the slat type made of litter. Complete confinement system. The birds are confined to the house entirely with no access to land. Broilers requirements. The following space requirements may serve as guide. Number 1. Day-old to 3 weeks, 0.3 square foot per chick. Number 2. 3 weeks to 4 weeks, 0.5 square foot per chick. Number 3. 5 weeks to market age, 1 square foot per bird.
Housing the pig. What is the importance of housing the pig? Quality pig housing is the most important asset in pig farming when breeding and rearing pigs. It's critical to have quality pig housing for animals to thrive and grow. Here are 5 reasons why this is important on your farm or small holding. First, good ventilation. Second, good insulation. Third, suitable flooring. And fourth, feeding. Lastly, watering. First example of housing the pig is the gestation unit. Gestation unit is a basically parking unit where sow should be kept comfortable to allow the pregnancy to develop. Thus, the design of the facility should provide for maintenance of pregnancy, preservation of sow body condition, and longevity while facilitate piglets with large birth weight. Second example of housing the pig is the farrowing unit. The farrowing unit is the most expensive building in the sow unit, but also a very important one. It should provide comfort for the sow and for the newborn piglets, as well accommodate the staff while carrying out management procedure.
Nursery unit, where the piglets kept for 2 months. After the delivery of piglets, they will be transported into the nursery unit. The nursery stage occurs from weaning at around 3 weeks of age until 8 to 10 weeks of age. Pigs are grouped at weaning into pens sorted by gender or size. The nursery growth rate is extremely critical to late performance. For each 1 pound less target body weight at 10 weeks of age, it can take an additional 5 days to reach market weight. Later on, temperature control is very important for production in the nursery unit. Environmental needs are important in the nursery and plant. Temperature fluctuations are highly stressful. The lower critical temperature is 40 Fahrenheit. Temperatures below LCD result in stress, which increases the likelihood of problems resulting in poor growth rate. Growing unit, where the weanlings are raised until they are ready to be marketed. It is advisable to keep the growing and finishing pigs in pens similar to those used for weaner because they are already on the stage where they are ready to be sold into the market.
Housing the small ruminants, goats and sheep. Goats and sheep are examples of small ruminants, and they are found all over the world, and were among the first animals domesticated by the humans. They are social animals. They like to graze and eat grass. Ruminants are mammals that are able to acquire nutrients from plant-based food by fermenting it into a specialized stomach prior to digestion, principally through microbial actions. Housing the small ruminants are very important for goat and sheep farming business because like other domestic animals, goats and sheep also need a shelter for staying at night, security, and preventing them from adverse climate like sunlight, cold, and etc. In housing the small ruminants, we should remember that the area should be high enough to keep the area safe from flood. Floors should be always dry and clean and ensure the huge flow of light and air inside the house. Never ever let the rainwater enter inside the house because goats after all are very prone to pneumonia. So we should take extra care of them in rainy and wintry season. The house should be strong and comfortable enough for the goats. The wall of the house should be made of bamboo, poles, or concretes. The house should have a facility of cleaning well regularly. And lastly, avoid the house from being damp because damping condition is responsible for various diseases. Housing large ruminants. Ruminants are mammals that are able to acquire nutrients from plant-based food by fermenting it in a specialized stomach prior to digestion, principally through microbial actions. Examples of large ruminants are cattle, buffalo, and cows. The primary purpose of housing is to provide shelter from extreme weather. House stock must be provided with sufficient space for lying, grooming, and normal animal-to-animal interactions. Escape must also be provided if young calves are housed with adults, for example, calves and suckler cows. Providing indoor housing for cattle also prevents damage to pasture during rainy season, when the grass is scarce. A well-drained yard with a good windbreak may also be a suitable alternative. Open surface water tanks are best for training calves. Ventilation is necessary to remove gases from the barns and replace them with fresh air in cold weather. The ventilation rate is calculated to remove excess heat. Natural ventilation using existing windows and doors is preferable because of cost. Natural ventilation on the wind to ventilate the barns, and lastly, manure will need to be scrapped on a regular barns to keep them clean.
Several types of roof to choose from. The choice is determined by the available materials, the amount of investment, and the size of operations. First type is shed or single span type. This is the most simple type of roof. It is usually used in small construction.
Gable or double span. This is the conventional system of roof construction.
Monitor. This type is appropriate for big establishments. It is actually a big double span with an outlet for air at the top of the roof. Monitor. This is like the monitor type except that an outlet on top of the roof is made on side. Combination of shed and gable. It combines both a gable and shed roof. It usually contains a higher gable roof that sits atop a short wall with a shed roof below.
Dropping boards. These fixtures should be provided in the laying house to facilitate collection of manure. Perches. These are horizontal poles where birds can sit and rest, especially during nighttime. Sufficient perches should be constructed to prevent the birds from crowding at night. Nest. Hens are layers, lay their eggs in the nest. A nest could be either open or closed. The nest should be built on a partition or an end walls. It should be high enough above the floor so that the hens can work under them. Feeding troughs. This should be provided so as to keep off the hens from scratching the feeds and wasting them, especially when the birds are laying eggs.
Drinking trough. Drinking jar should be large and sufficient enough to supply the water needs of the birds for the whole day. It should be durable and easy to clean. Incubator. This is a device that maintains the required temperature needed to hatch the egg. Brooder. A device with controlled temperature for the rearing of newly hatched chicks until 2 weeks old or until birds are ready to be transferred to growing house.